Pokémon Legends Z-A gave us 2 last trailers before release. However, one of those trailers was a DLC trailer. I have mixed feelings about that, which I'll describe later. In any case, the first thing I'd like to discuss about the last Z-A trailer is that it looks gorgeous at that smooth 60 frames per second. Everything shown feels so smooth and crisp. I'm absolutely in love with the way the game appears to feel, and I cannot give Game Freak enough praise for finally releasing a game that performs at industry standards. That's a bit of a joke, but seriously, I cannot believe we didn't get 60 frames per second in any of the past Pokémon Switch titles. You might think that the Switch wasn't strong enough to handle 60 frames per second, but that is unfortunately a myth created by Pokémon fans that are afraid to criticize Game Freak for whatever reason. In the Mario franchise alone, there are 5 different titles that perform at 60 frames per second, not including Smash Bros. There's also 2 different Legend of Zelda titles that perform at 60 frames per second. So it's nice to see that Pokémon has finally caught up to franchises that it vastly outperforms monetarily. Before moving on too far, I also wanted to say that there's one scene in the new trailer where a fletchling can be seen perched atop a streetlight. I think this is really cool. Pokémon Legends Arceus is one of my favorite Pokémon titles ever, but one thing that I think it could have done better with is making Pokémon spawns feel a bit less flat. For example, most Pokémon simply spawn on the ground in Legends Arceus, or they're in shaking rocks or trees. Some Pokémon can fly, but there aren't too many of them. Seeing this fletchling sitting on top of a streetlight gives me hope that we might visually see Pokémon in trees for the first time ever. There are also other details in previous trailers, like Noibat hanging upside down in an underground tunnel, that tell me this game will have Pokémon that feel even more real than they did in Legends Arceus. I cannot wait to see how Pokémon interact with the world around them in Legends Z-A, but I'm slightly worried about the detail of these surroundings that Pokémon may be interacting with. I've detailed in a previous video that the buildings in Legends Z-A look pretty bad. They have a non-convincing flat balcony texture, but in reality these buildings are all just big boxes that have less detail than any of the buildings in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, or even the buildings found in Legends Arceus. There's a section of the trailer where we see 3 different language options in quick succession, 2 of those being the typical English and Japanese translations. But we also see that Pokémon Legends Z-A will be the first game in the series to receive a Latin American Spanish translation. This is wonderful news, as allowing more people to enjoy Pokémon is always a good thing. However, this has led to some incorrect speculation that I'll touch on later. You may have noticed that this battle has 4 trainers battling at once, and Absol, Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja are all on the field at the same time, all with different trainers. You may think that this is a double battle, but this is actually a completely new style of Link battling called the Z-A Battle Club. In a Z-A Battle Club match, there are 4 trainers with what appears to be a limit of 3 Pokémon each, all battling to knock out as many Pokémon of opposing trainers as they can within 3 minutes. I don't have many thoughts about this new method of battling beyond that I think it's a cool new way to experience Pokémon. However, I think this type of battling will be more casually focused as opposed to competitive. That's a good thing if you're a casual player that wants to battle with friends without wanting to deal with competitive slop. But if you're a competitive player, you might not get much enjoyment out of this new style of battling. Either way, I'm interested to see the general reception to this new kind of Pokémon battle, and I can't wait to try it out for myself. During this Z-A Battle Club match, we find out that Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja have finally received Mega Evolutions. Hooray! Right? No! Unfortunately, Game Freak conveniently didn't mention in the trailer that all 3 of the Mega Kalos starters are not part of the Legends Z-A experience by default. And to make matters even worse, you can miss these Mega Evolutions forever! As it turns out, the Mega Stones for Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja are locked behind climbing the online ranked battle ladder. There will apparently be different seasons of this ranked ladder as well. The Mega Stones for Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja are described as ranked rewards, with each season of ranked battles providing access to one of the Kalos starter Mega Stones. Season 1 will give you access to Greninja's Mega Stone, Season 2 will give you access to Delphox's Mega Stone, and Season 3 will give you access to Chestnut's Mega Stone. However, we don't know how long each season will be, and while the Mega Stones are described as ranked rewards, we don't know the specifics of how to earn these Mega Stones. Do we have to simply play a certain number of ranked battles to get the Mega Stones? Or do we have to place at a certain rank? Either way, I personally feel that this is an awful decision for multiple reasons. Let's assume that each ranked season is 1 month long. If you want to get all 3 Mega Stones for the Kalos starters, that means you'll need to have NSO active for at least 3 months. And it's also possible that each ranked season may be multiple months long, so you might either need to pay for even more months of NSO, or you'll have to deal with the hassle of activating and deactivating your NSO subscription only so that you can play ranked battles to earn a reward that should have been included in the game to begin with. To make matters even more confusing, there's nothing to say that the Kalos Starter Megastones are the only Megastones that will be distributed this way either. Maybe there will be new Megastones released with every new ranked season until the next games come out. If that's the case, you should expect to have a constantly active NSO subscription. Because these Megastones are also tied to online ranked battle seasons, there's no guarantee that you'll ever be able to acquire them again. Game Freak knows people have been waiting for these Mega Evolutions for over 12 years now. I think this ranked battle idea is not only a bad idea, but it is outright insulting to Pokemon fans. There's a high chance you likely already have an NSO subscription. But for those that don't, or for those that live in households where gaming online isn't an option, this is a blatant slap in the face. Anyway, the designs for the Kalos Starter Mega Evolutions are better than expected. I'm not the most enthusiastic fan of the Kalos Starter Final Evolutions, but these designs are genuinely pretty good. I don't typically enjoy Pokemon designs that have clothing as a part of the Pokemon, but these all feel like believable Mega Evolution designs. One thing I will say is that while I do appreciate how Mega Greninja looks, I can't help but feel just a bit disappointed that it seems like it will be perpetually upside down. I'm hoping that there are at least a few animations where Greninja stands as it normally does. Speaking of Mega Evolution designs though, I'd like to take a brief moment to discuss Mega Victory Bell, Mega Hawlucha, and Mega Malamar since I didn't get a chance to do so in my previous video. I think all three of these designs are great, though I do wish that Mega Hawlucha and Mega Malamar were standard evolutions instead of Mega Evolutions. If you've seen my previous video covering Z-A, you may understand where I'm coming from, but for new viewers, I'll explain. Mega Evolution is defined as pushing a Pokemon beyond what it is normally capable of. This is why Pokemon like Charizard can undergo Mega Evolution even though it's already a final stage Pokemon. This means that when a Pokemon receives a Mega Evolution, that Pokemon will never get an actual evolution. This means Pokemon with incredible untapped potential like Mawile and Sableye will never get real evolutions now. But what makes this problem even worse is that Mega Evolutions can be taken away. Prior to Legends Z-A, we went 7 years without Mega Evolutions being present in a main series game. I don't know about you, but I would have preferred a Pokemon like Sableye received an actual evolution that can't be taken away for 7 years over a Mega Evolution. I'm so thankful that Annihilate was introduced in Scarlet and Violet because I'm certain that if Game Freak held off on adding it until Legends Z-A, it would have been a Mega Evolution instead. Despite my grievances with how Mega Evolutions have been distributed, I do generally enjoy all of the new Mega Evolution designs that have been revealed so far, with 2 exceptions that I'll get into later. The next notable moment in the trailer was this battle against a rogue Mega Bayonet. There's a lot happening on screen, but it appears as though there are actually 3 rogue Mega Bayonet in one battle and that they do want to attack the player. While it may seem as though there are 3 rogue Mega Bayonet, it would appear 2 of these rogue Mega Bayonet are part of an attack that the actual rogue Mega Bayonet is using. In any case, the player has to very quickly react to the attack, otherwise they will be struck. This is a bit concerning to me. In one of my previous videos covering Legends Z-A, I mentioned that Legends Arceus and Legends Z-A have more complex controls that will be excluding fans of Pokemon that struggle with dexterity. There's less focus on strategy in the gameplay and more focus on reaction time and player movement. If you enjoy this type of gameplay, that's great, but I'm not sure that excluding fans of Pokemon is something to commend even if the gameplay turns out to be extraordinary for those that enjoy it. Hey, you! Yeah, you! Are you enjoying the video? If so, please like and subscribe. We're building an amazing community together and we'd love to have you be a part of it. Alright, back to the video. Vinny was revealed to have a keystone in this trailer. Vinny's keystone was hidden away within the palm of his glove the entire time. The pose Vinny strikes when he uses Mega Evolution is also very menacing, though the question of which Pokemon Vinny is Mega Evolving remains. If I had to guess, it could be either Pangoro or Lopunny, given that he has both Pancham and Baneri accessories in his hair. The trailer also shows off a few returning Mega Evolutions, but I noticed that Mega Mawile and Mega Sableye give us more glimpses at the underground portions of Lumio City. There's not much, but we can see there are pipes and bricks in the underground areas, which tells me that we should expect to find Steel-type Pokemon down here in addition to Fairy, Ghost, Dark, and Poison-type Pokemon. The only other Mega Evolution to give us a glimpse at anything would be Mega Gallade, with the hidden detail being Gallade and Gardevoir shipping in the background. As I speculated in my previous video, the Prism Tower absolutely has something crazy going on. But this dark purple miasma surrounding the Prism Tower sure is mysterious. This shade of purple appears to be the same shade of purple that can be seen in the Rogue Mega Evolved battle background. This may hint towards a connection to the Mega Shards and Mega Crystals that have been appearing in Lumio City post-redevelopment, which themselves may be tied to Diancie. Does this mean that Diancie has something to do with this miasma surrounding the Prism Tower? I'm ultimately not sure. The idea of Diancie causing some kind of trouble in Lumio City, enough to warrant the attention or aggravation of Zygarde, does sound very strange. So while I don't have any answers, it is fun to think about. Moving on to another odd topic, did you know that the Japanese version of the last Legends Z-A trailer is almost double the length of the global trailers? Why would they do this? Anyway, there's a lot of very interesting details in the Japanese trailer that aren't in the global trailers. Details such as even more confirmed Mega Pokemon returning, Eternal Flower Floette using Light of Ruin in a cutscene, the arrival of the protagonist to Lumiose by train, or even the Holo X and Holo Y outfits that were mentioned but not shown at the end of the DLC trailer. But I'm getting ahead of myself. DLC trailer? DLC was announced for a game that hasn't been released yet? That's right! Game Freak has announced the Mega Dimension DLC. As the name implies, the Mega Dimension DLC is focused on Hoopa and new Mega Evolutions. There's a lot to say about this DLC despite knowing so little, so let's instead start with the two confirmed Mega Pokemon coming in Mega Dimension. Mega Raichu X and Mega Raichu Y were revealed, and unfortunately I think these two designs are the most devoid of soul things I've ever seen Game Freak create. That might sound harsh, but these designs are Pikachu Mega Evolutions, not Raichu. I'm a bit more lenient with Mega Raichu X, but Mega Raichu Y is literally just Pikachu. I've seen arguments about how Raichu and Pikachu have similar body types, but they actually don't. Raichu's legs, feet, and head are shaped very differently from Pikachu, let alone the ears. Mega Raichu X uses Pikachu's colors, which is disappointing, but it's not a deal breaker for me, though Mega Raichu Y is undeniably Pikachu at its core. I've seen some people on Twitter be confused about this accusation, so let me try to illustrate the problem. Mega Raichu Y's body is Pikachu's body. For whatever reason, it has lost the identifiable Raichu ears and instead reverted back to Pikachu's ears. The rest of the body is simply Pikachu's, lacking all of Raichu's other identifiable parts like the legs, head shape, and ears. Mellow Rush tried recoloring Mega Raichu Y so that it uses Pikachu's colors like Mega Raichu X does to help make the same point I'm making now. If you still can't see the similarities, take a look at this. Mellow Rush took Pikachu's model and put it in the same pose as Mega Raichu Y. Let's overlay the two and yeah. Mega Raichu Y is not a Raichu Mega Evolution, it's Pikachu's. I feel so sorry for Raichu fans. If you're one of those fans that likes Raichu more than Pikachu, you must feel like your favorite Pokemon's two Mega Evolutions have been completely compromised by Pikachu's popularity. It's extremely clear to me that Raichu's Mega Evolutions, mostly Mega Raichu Y, are soulless corporate husks. This is especially disappointing considering that there are a lot of interesting ideas here if only the Pikachu influence is removed. For example, a few talented artists on Twitter have made some redesigns. Cardinal and Mellow Rush adjusted the colors of Mega Raichu X to be visually closer to Raichu, and I think both of these designs are infinitely more appealing. Losey Rosie reimagined both Mega forms, which again strike me as infinitely more appealing. These designs also take inspiration from a popular interpretation of Gorochu, which is always a positive. And XPNC simply merged features of Mega Raichu X and Mega Raichu Y into one design, which again feels infinitely more appealing than either of the two designs we received. I'm so thankful that all of these talented artists have reinterpreted what Mega Raichu could have been, if only for the fans that Game Freak let down by somehow finding a way to make Raichu's Mega Evolutions all about Pikachu. Mega Raichu X and Mega Raichu Y aren't the only new Mega Evolutions coming with the Mega Dimension DLC though. Twitter user RatTatar identified 14 new Megastones that we have never seen before. I'll quickly go through each Megastone and give my own thoughts on which Pokemon each new Megastone could represent. I think there are two main options for the first Megastone, those being Gourgeist and Clefable. I currently believe that this will be Gourgeist Megastone though, because Kalos Pokemon need all the representation they can get. I believe the best match for this Megastone is either Arbok, Gliscor, or Noivern. There are hints in the trailers that I've talked about in past videos that indicate we'll be getting Mega Arbok, but that Mega Pokemon is implied to be in the game on release and not part of a DLC. That narrows us down to Gliscor and Noivern. I think Noivern is more likely because it's a Kalos Pokemon, but Gliscor matches the colors better. This Megastone seems like it could be for either Typhlosion or Haxorus, though I'm inclined to say Haxorus. I've heard a few arguments saying that it could be Typhlosion because both Chikorita and Totodile are in Legends Z-A. This sounds great until you realize that Chikorita and Totodile are likely going to evolve into regional forms of Meganium and Feraligatr, at least if Legends Arceus' example is going to be followed. This means that the regional forms are expected to get Mega Evolutions, not the original forms. That is, unless the regional forms and the originals are both getting Mega Evolutions. But then Hisui and Typhlosion would be the odd one out without a Mega Evolution. All this to say that it's not impossible for this to be Typhlosion, but unless we're ready to expect 6 total Mega Evolutions for the Johto starters and their regional variants, I think it's probably Haxorus. I've seen a few people talking about this Megastone possibly belonging to Crustle, but I think the colors better match Barbaracle. Barbaracle is also a Kalos Pokemon, which raises the odds in its favor, so I'll stick with that as my guess. I believe this Megastone could belong to Clawitzer, though I would have expected some yellow to appear in Clawitzer's Megastone. Flygon fans rejoice! This is obviously Flygon. You can even see Flygon in the reflection on the bottom right. Sorry, Lilligant fans. I believe this Megastone is Volcarona. I know Volcarona just received 2 Paradox variants, but all of the colors on this Megastone scream Volcarona. Tyrantrum is the closest match that I can find for this Megastone. I have no ideas for this Megastone. I've seen some guesses about it being Gastrodon, but remember that Gastrodon has 2 forms. This can't be Gastrodon's Megastone because it only matches the East Sea form and there are no references to the West Sea form. Because there are no other Pokemon that match this Megastone, I believe that this may belong to a Pokemon or regional variant that we have not met yet. Or, this could be a Megastone like Charizardite X that uses the colors of the Mega instead of the colors of the Pokemon that uses the Megastone to Mega Evolve. If Tyrantrum is getting a Megastone, then it's reasonable to believe that Aurorus will get one too. Though, once again, the colors don't match exactly. They're fairly close though. I speculated in one of my previous videos that Mega Aegislash was likely going to exist, and I think this might be its Megastone. Lastly, we have these 3 Megastones. Unfortunately, these 3 Megastones do not have enough detail for any worthwhile guesses. There's another interesting aspect of the Mega Dimension DLC that I haven't seen many people talking about, the lore implications. According to Nintendo, their description of the DLC is that Hoopa is creating mysterious distortions in space that connect to a place known as Hyperspace Lumiose. This isn't the first time we've seen Hoopa create portals to new spaces, but there are some weird implications here. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire had Xenia introduce the concept of multiple timelines to the Pokemon mythos. This is a whole other discussion in itself, but the gist is that there are 2 timelines, one where Mega Evolution exists and one where it doesn't. This is going to become quite complicated, so bear with me. The timeline where Mega Evolution doesn't exist is all of the games prior to X and Y. All games after X and Y take place in the Mega timeline. But now, we have Hoopa opening up portals to another space that has Mega Evolution. So does this imply that there are now 3 known timelines? Or is this Hyperspace Lumiose still part of the Mega timeline despite being another space? And that is without bringing up the mess that the Gen 7 games introduced with Ultra Space and the Ultra Wormholes. Anyway, the safest explanation for this complicated mess is that Pokémon has an infinite multiverse just like every other franchise these days. If the Mega Dimension DLC interests you, it releases on February 28th, 2026. I'm sure you must be really excited to transfer all of your old favorites to ZA so they can experience Mega Evolution for themselves. However, you may want to rethink that decision. As it turns out, Pokemon caught in or sent to ZA can't be returned to previous games despite the existence of Pokemon Home. The way Home handles data should prevent backwards compatibility issues, so this shouldn't be a problem. You can catch Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet and send it back to Sword and Shield if that Pokemon was available in Sword and Shield. Home stores all of a Pokemon's information server-side, so there should be no information loss by transferring into ZA that can't be restored by Home. Only one exception exists, that being Let's Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. If you transfer a Pokemon out of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it cannot go back into Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but they can go into other past games. That makes this weird transfer decision with Legends Z-A all the more baffling. Some people have claimed that this transfer issue may be due to the lack of abilities in Legends Z-A, but this of course doesn't make sense considering that you can transfer Pokemon in and out of Legends Arceus. Others have suggested that this issue may stem from the new language options being added in Legends Z-A, but that doesn't make sense either considering all information about a Pokemon is saved to the home cloud. In short, don't transfer your Pokemon to Legends Z-A unless you're absolutely certain that you no longer want to use them in past Pokemon titles. And on that rather sad note, that's about all I have to say regarding the final Legends Z-A trailer and the Mega Dimension DLC. Reminder to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the video, and remember to leave a comment if there's anything you'd like to say. That's it from me, and I hope to catch you in the next video.